Hello, and welcome to the podcast that discusses all things gaming. Coming to you from the home of Indie PopCon, Gen Con, and the gaming capital of the world, we are The Established Facts.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 194 of The Established Facts.
194.
6 more to go.
Oh. That's crazy.
Oh, man. Well, it's just Joshy and I, so intros will be quick.
Hi, I'm Josh.
Hi, I'm Big Don, your host. I was listening back to episode 192 when we finished off our level building curve and so forth, and we had Katie and Avital, Debbie and Lance, you and I forget sometimes because it's unfortunately since we've been doing this now for nearly 8 years, I forget sometimes because it doesn't happen as often as it used to how a table with six people sounds compared to a table of 3 or 4.
True.
And especially with a table of just 2, it's a little bit more,
I feel like an actual radio show right now.
Right, absolutely.
As opposed to like taking orders at a fast food restaurant. Now, what's your opinion? What's your thought?
Right, just pointing around the table at 4 different other people. Yeah, I was laughing so hard listening to that episode because like half of the people that were on the recording were like ready to go to bed. Or almost falling asleep before we started recording. So, but not the case on this one.
No.
It's just you and I. But we're going to talk with you all, or talk to you all, I guess, about HoosierCon and our thoughts for HoosierCon 2019. General opinion, I had a really good time.
There were a lot of people there.
There were a lot of people there. For those of you who are unfamiliar with HoosierCon, it is a kind of neighborhood, if you will, or local gaming convention. It's a 3-day convention, which is really kind of cool for a small convention its size. It's usually, at least the last few years that I know of, held at the Wyndham West Hotel over near the Indianapolis International Airport. Really nice hotel. They've got a lot of space for a lot of really cool things. They've got a big game library, and they've got an open gaming area. They've got a small vendor hall, and then they usually have a room dedicated for Pathfinder Society, and then also Dungeons & Dragons 5th Ed Adventure League. I think is what it's called.
It's Adventures League, yeah.
Yeah. And then they've got like 3 other rooms that have just random role-playing games going on for, different systems and stuff like that. So
board games were out in a pretty significant amount too.
Yeah.
I remember when we were headed over to the Brickyard for the Breakfast Anytime performance, just seeing the swath of board games that were out across all the tables. It's a great way, especially for those that are a little less extroverted, to kind of get into the con experience, and just kind of jump into games, find a game, rent a game, watch a game, all kinds of different things without the chaos of 60,000 people at Gen Con.
Yeah, if I had to guess, I'd say it's at the most, probably throughout the weekend, about 1,600 people. And I would say that's probably all 3 days. If you added it up, like they probably get 400 or 500 people a day going through there.
And I hope we're wrong on that one, but
yeah, it could be more, it could be less. I'm not 100% sure.
Either way, it's a significant amount. Having a table there, we often would see the same people, but on the same note, that happens at all the conventions, and it was no more or less at this convention.
Well, and you see, when you're sitting at a table, you do see a lot of the same people kind of going back and forth, but then there is a huge number of people that you never see, because they're either in the game library the whole time, or like they have, there's always a group there that has the Artemis flight or like Starship Simulator.
Yeah, I don't remember. It's not Artemis anymore, but yes, it's the
Oh, okay.
Yes.
And then our
the Bridge
friends,
Simulator.
Yeah,
I don't remember
Bridge
who it's
Simulator.
called now, but
And then our friends from White Flag Games, they
bring their escape room.
They had 2 of them this year.
Did they?
They had 2 of them this year, which I think next year I would really like to carve out some time to do an escape room, especially with, the last 2 years with our improv company, Breakfast Anytime. We have done shows on the Saturday of HoosierCon, and I think next year I would love for us to plan to do either, probably after, for those who want to stick around, to do like an escape room together or a bridge simulator together. I think something like that would be a lot of fun. Or heck, even, if we could convince them, I would love to sit down at a table and do a one-shot for somebody who's running for us. Like, especially with our friends who, we've got a lot of people who are in our improv company that like to play board games, but don't have as much exposure to role-playing games and stuff like that. And I know that they have a kind of a morbid curiosity of the world of role-playing games.
I want to play Cobalt Take My Baby with Ren.
Oh my gosh, that would be so much fun. That would be so much fun.
Anyways.
Yeah, absolutely.
We should just make that happen over the summer.
Yeah. Yeah, we could do that. Yeah, we're going to have some downtime during the summer. We could definitely make a day to just get to... I know we've been talking a lot lately about getting together and just having a game day for all of our Breakfast Anytime friends. So, anyhow, in general, as you can tell, Joshy and I had a pretty good time at HoosierCon. So we're going to kind of go through some of the things that we really enjoyed about HoosierCon, some of the things that we're looking forward to for next year. Doing our regular convention review like we like to do. Just the 2 of us, though. So it'll be nice and pretty chill. Joshy, you were at a different event during the weekend as well. What else were you doing this during HoosierCon weekend?
So the Friday of HoosierCon, actually the whole convention HoosierCon landed during the Indiana Association for Homeschool Educators conference convention at the State Fairgrounds. And I think I've mentioned this in the past, but my wife and I and sister-in-law have been kind of working together in homeschooling Maggie, with plans to homeschool Carrie's son Drew and our son Samuel as well. And part of that kind of collaboration is that Deb and I would agree to buy the curriculums as long as Carrie would help to administer it. And it's been a great learning thing for myself as well, because I was public schooled and my wife was homeschooled. So it's I've now gone to the homeschool convention, I think, the last 3 years with them. So even though they landed on the same day, it's like, well, I'm going. In the last 2 years, we had all the kids.
Right.
This year, we got babysitters. So it was just, we went, and it was the most efficient run in the homeschool convention. We were there imagine 3 hours.
I can only imagine that with Debbie and Carrie being involved with taking care of that, it was like, all right, this is our time schedule for the next 12 hours.
Well, and they had a plan. Like, they knew what we were going to go buy.
Right.
And if we couldn't find it, we knew where to get it if it wasn't there. And we saved some money, and they do convention specials. Like, if you buy from the table, they'll take, like, one of the math programs she does is called Matthew C. by Demi Learning, and it's...
and then they say, "Oh, we'll take this much percentage off, but you have to figure out what that percentage is in actual dollars. Here's your math curriculum."
Well, it was 10% off.
There you go.
The funny thing about that, learned an interesting tidbit, which is totally unrelated to this, but I'm going to share it anyways. The guy who was checking me out for Demi Learning was like, yeah, we're big Disney fans, and Deb and I are Disney Vacation Club members, and he told me a couple of tricks, and one of which I think, Don, you need to consider. He has a family of like 7 or 8 or something that go down, and they go annually, like no problem annually. What they'll do is they rent an RV for the week. It's like $200 a night for the RV, and then it's like $55 a night for an RV campsite at the Wilderness Lodge.
Okay.
And you get hook up to power. They've got showers nearby. They've got bathrooms nearby. They can set up tents outside if they can't all sleep in the RV, which they always are able to sleep on the RV. And the guy he works with almost always gets him a free golf cart, so that gets him back and forth to where the boat docks are, or where the buses are, and stuff along those lines. And he's paying about $250 a night for 7 people.
Yeah, that's
which
really
you do that anywhere else on property, it's going to be $300 to $350 easily for separate rooms.
Yeah.
I was like, well, okay. And apparently the other thing he does is he takes advantage of conferences that are there. He said he went to an ophthalmologist conference meaning he paid for the entry, and then stayed in the Grand Floridian at $150 a night. Him and his wife.
Wow.
That is not the regular price.
Is he a doctor?
No.
He's just like, I'm going to go learn about eyeballs.
He didn't go to learn either. He contacted them and contacted the hotel.
Can I just buy a pass to your thing and save $400?
Hotel does not care.
Oh, that's
because all the
so
hotel
funny.
cared about was that the room blocks. So if they sell a certain amount of the room block,
and the convention probably doesn't care either because they're selling a pass even if you don't show up.
Yep. The room block gets sold, and if enough of it gets sold, the Grand Floridian gets a kickback from the conference.
That's wild.
For being a location. Oh yeah, and I was like, that's funny. It's totally gaming the system. So there's my gaming reference.
That reminds me of at the last workshop that we had for our improv company. We were talking about one of our new members, Rob Capicu. And he does a lot of traveling, he and his wife, and they're in New Zealand, or they just came back from New Zealand, I think.
Oh, yeah.
And Peter, our friend Peter and director Peter, he was talking to Ben in our company about how he's able to travel so much. And I guess he does kind of the same thing. Like, when they have a really good travel deal, he just saves, I think he just saves vacation because he doesn't have kids yet, so he just
credit
saves
card points, mileage points, all those things just to save up mileage, and then he just
sucks up the deal when he can. He's like, all right, we're going to New Zealand. Like, oh, okay, cool,
bravo,
right, absolutely.
So homeschool convention to learn that, and then got to see a lot of the neat curriculum. And obviously, a lot of homeschooling is Christian based, but there were some other things there. Something I really appreciated was the American Legion sponsors Hoosier Boys State, which was a high school program that high school seniors go away for a week and basically build from the ground up an entire state government. Like you get elected into the House and Senate, and then you make laws, and then by the time the week is over, you elect a governor.
That's cool.
And I did it when I was in high school.
Okay.
I
didn't even know something like that existed.
Yeah,
that's cool.
It's a cool thing. And the American Legion is the major sponsor for it. And there's a Hoosier Girls State also.
I wonder.
But Boys State was there.
My mother-in-law is a member of the Legion. I wonder if she would get a discount on something like that. That'd be cool. I'll look into that.
It's an interesting concept. Now, mind you, again, it's for high school seniors.
Yeah, I got some time. Yeah, I know. I got some time.
But
about 8 years.
Yeah, I remember doing it. It was really neat to see him there and talk, to have the memories kind of flood back in. And they were at the homeschool convention because they wanted to try and kind of increase their ranks because there's not always a lot of interest from public schoolers because of extracurricular activities and this and that. And,
well, and as a public school kid too, like that kind of stuff is never promoted. Like you don't learn about that stuff. You get into higher education in college and stuff like that, and that's when all of a sudden your political stance becomes a talking point or a subject matter of discussion. And if you have no idea what to lean on or what sort of knowledge to look into, you just kind of feel like you either don't have an opinion or you get influenced one way or the other. You get influenced on either, in lots and lots of different subject matter by either teachers or peers or something like that.
Well, and I always forget to write this down. There is actually a company there that brings a card game where it's like you take famous characters from history and they battle each other. Like Genghis Khan fights Abraham Lincoln. That type of thing.
Nice.
I always forget the name of it, but every time I see it, it just makes me smile.
That's funny.
The premise, especially since it was during Hoosier Con weekend.
Right, that would have been funny. Gaming. That would have been a good game. That is funny. Well, speaking of Hoosier Con, good segue there, Josh. That was pretty expert.
It's like we've done this before.
Like we've done it before. It's a lot easier to do, again, when there's just two of us. When no one likes us enough to hang out with us all the time. So I spent most of the weekend, Friday and Saturday, at Hoosier Con. And I had to leave early on Saturday, unfortunately. But then I did end up going back on Saturday evening and had some fun with some friends. So Joshy, what part of Hoosier Con, though you were only there for a limited amount of time, what part of Hoosier Con do you feel like was probably your favorite part, favorite game, favorite moment of Hoosier Con?
I think a favorite moment was the family, the mother, daughter, and son that came up dressed as the Spanish Inquisition,
yeah.
wearing the V mask and a cross that had social media logos and such on it.
Yeah.
Because they were just trying to blend all these rebellious images together.
It was good stuff.
They sat and talked with us at our table for probably 20 some odd minutes. They came to the improv show, which was a blast, but I'll never forget that. You see quite a bit of costumes, not like Comic-Con or PopCon level costumes.
Yeah, but there's people who have their kind of casual cosplay stuff that they dress up in.
And then you see the Spanish Inquisition walk by, and
you'd never expect it.
Never.
You'd never expect the Spanish Inquisition.
The worst part about that is I know it's a joke from Monty Python, and yet for some reason, every time we see him, we're not expecting it.
That's it.
It's
maybe
just
it's not
spot
a joke.
on.
Maybe it's not.
Oh, well, it definitely wasn't during.
Definitely,
the
yeah.
It's not like they were laughing about it during the process.
That's it.
Believe or die. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh my goodness!
They pushed them off a cliff.
Yeah, they were a lot of fun.
Yeah, so I think that probably stood out for me.
And they went to our show, and they had to leave early because I believe it was the
latex allergy for the mother.
Mom was having a latex allergy reaction to the mask, I believe, that she was wearing. But before they left, they actually went by our booth while we were still in the middle of our show and left us a note. Right?
She left it at the table.
Okay.
And then before the show was over, they had gotten out of their outfit, came by, grabbed the note, and brought it to me.
Okay.
So I left it at the table so you could see it because I knew you were coming back.
Yeah.
Which, speaking of, you still have my stuff.
It's in my van.
Awesome.
Yeah, I have it with me. Yeah, I just thought that was really cool. They left us a note basically saying that they had a really, really good time at our show and that they were so happy to have come by our booth and talk to us and had a really good time in the overall weekend. They apologized for having to leave early because of that. And I think Josh and I, being extremely, in my opinion, extremely forgiving people in general.
Oh, goodness, yeah.
As soon as I found out, especially that they were leaving because of an allergic reaction or something like that, I was like, yeah, you never have to apologize for something like that. I mean, that's a health thing. We don't want people to get hurt and have a crummy time at a convention that we're having a good time at.
That doesn't help anybody.
No, it doesn't. I would have to say, for me, one of my favorite. I'm gonna classify it as probably my favorite game for the weekend. I had a lot of fun moments because, for those of you who have never been to a convention that the Established Facts has been at, shame on you.
We promote good conventions on this podcast. How dare you?
That's it. But come by our booth when you go to, say, for example, PopCon, or I believe we're going to be at In Conjunction, or possibly another convention somewhere close. I don't know, whatever. But whenever we do have an exhibitor booth, we always have a big bowl of candy because it is attractive to the eye. And we always put on the bowl of candy, tell us a joke, take a free piece of candy. I think I was trying to add the sign, which I think I'm going to try and do the next time that we do an improv show and have a booth there. Take a free piece, tell us a joke, take a free piece of candy, give us an improv suggestion, take another. But we have tons of kids, especially, that come up and tell us jokes. And so I would have to say probably one of my favorite moments of the convention was the fact that I had 11 people that had impatient or interrupting cows.
I got one more after you left.
Did you?
Yep.
Okay, so 12. And then I had, I think, 7 or 8 Pirates' favorite letters. I think you and I were at the table together for 2 or 3 of them.
Yeah. I'll never forget the little girl with the glasses and she wouldn't smile at me but would wink at me, which was weird. She would run up and keep telling us jokes. And then once she came up, told me a joke, and then literally grabbed 2 handfuls of candy and ran off.
Nice.
And Mom caught her.
Yeah.
And made her come back.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny. Good try, kid. Good try. We'd have let you have it, but Mom stopped you. Oh, my goodness. That's too funny. Yeah, I'm trying to remember if there were any good, quick ones. I don't know. There were so many funny jokes.
Oh, knock,
I don't remember. Who's there?
Chicken.
Chicken who?
You're in a bathtub.
Oh, that's right. We got told that by the 3-year-old or something, 4-year-old. So funny. So fun. I'll tell you what, though. A lot of people, and I was having this discussion the other day with somebody, a lot of people would hear a joke like that in a normal situation and be like, wow, that was not funny at all, or that wasn't a joke or anything. But to me, as someone who loves jokes, and especially really cheesy ones, when a 3-year-old comes up and tells you a joke that has a setup and has a punchline, if it doesn't make sense, it's still funny.
At that point, it's technique.
It's technique. That's all it is. You just got to work on your technique. Like you're doing great. You got your first steps. Your feet are wet. Now keep on, pushing through. Yeah, probably one of my favorite parts. And then one of my favorite games. I don't know if you got a chance to play any games while you were at
Sadly, no.
Okay. One of my favorite games that I played, and one of my a new game that I had never played before, is called Nyctophobia.
You watch your mouth.
Yeah, right. Which I'm pretty sure I'm saying the name correctly, but it's the fear of the dark.
Oh,
yeah. So the idea is you and up to 3 other players, you and 3 other players are blind, and you have a board that you have to navigate to try and find a friend who's lost in the woods, but you can't see anything because it's so quote unquote dark outside. So you wear these glasses, these sunglasses, that are literally completely solid lenses, like you cannot see. And the trick is, you can only feel where you're moving through the forest, and you're being hunted by a vampire. And if you touch the vampire that happens to be standing next to you, they immediately attack you. And if you have somebody get attacked twice, you lose the game. Yeah. It was really, really fun. It was extremely challenging.
I bet.
But it's like once you get used to that being the main mechanic of having to feel around your piece to figure out which direction you're going to go, and then also paying attention. If you have trouble with directions, especially just like navigational cardinal directions,
north, south, east, west,
south, east, west stuff, it will be an extremely challenging game for you. Because part of the allure of the game is you are trying to tell your friends where you have gone without seeing anything. That way they can at least try and navigate the same direction or away from you depending on what happens to your character. Yeah, it's a really cool game. I think you'd have a lot of fun with it. I think it's definitely a game that if you I found because I still have just a little bit of nerve damage from long time ago in my fingertips every once in a while, that it's extremely challenging when you can't actually feel very detailed things, because like the tops of the trees in the forest are rigid, so you can kind of feel that like rough top, but then like your piece will have a different shape on the top so that you can tell what piece you're touching.
Okay.
And then like the vampire is just a circle on the top, so when you feel the circle, you're like, oh, great, I just got attacked by the vampire. Like, it's really fun. And you can only attack them with a stone, unless you're like, there's a boxer that can punch. So, but it's cool. Like, you have abilities, and you can do all kinds of neat stuff, so that's a really good game. It's a lot of fun. I played one of my favorite games was also Sheriff of Nottingham while I was there. I love that game so much.
It requires 3 people.
Yeah.
Like I've got a few games now that like I'm really excited to try and play, but they require 3 people.
At least, yeah, a minimum of 3. Yeah.
That's one of them. I think my wife would be really drastically good at that game.
Well, I think it's like I know you're Deb. Yes, you're Deb and I. Your wife and I have the same love for Werewolf.
Oh yeah.
And I think that Sheriff of Nottingham at times kind of scratches that deception game itch. They do have, for next year, if you want to try and convince your wife to go, they have a village of about 30 to 35 people that play Werewolf from like 6 or 8 until like 2 in the morning on Friday and Saturday night.
Wow. Okay.
So if you ever wanted a negotiation point, that might give you a little weight in the conversation.
Yeah.
Like, hey, you and Don, we can go play werewolf.
I got to get her in a werewolf game at Gen Con, too.
Yeah.
Like, just...
Yeah, I missed that game.
Yeah.
I had a lot of fun with that game. We used to play it all the time. Anyway.
Which is what made Ultimate Werewolf, One Night Werewolf sadden to me, because it's...
Right.
Because you have to touch things, and people are touching those things, it ruins the surprise element of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so, as always, Joshy, what was your least favorite moment at HoosierCon, or did you have one?
I'm probably going to have to say the amount of time I got to spend this year.
Yeah.
I am not upset about going to the homeschool convention. We went to lunch afterwards. I got to, because it was very busy in March, and it was nice to kind of spend a day with the wife, spend a day at a game convention, improv, and then go to church. Like, it was a good weekend overall. But I really wanted to, and it didn't happen, sit down and play a Pathfinder 2nd Edition.
They had play tests there. Yeah, I really wanted to get into one too, but ran out of time.
Well, and the ones they had on Saturday were during our show.
Yeah.
So
they had some later in the evening, but I had to work.
Yeah,
that was I had to work.
So I got to get somebody, and I know I'm hearing Adam Godfrey is really struggling about whether or not he's going to go 5th edition or second ed Pathfinder, and he was gung ho D&D until I sent him a video I found that compared D&D 5th edition to the current playtest rules, and he was like, "That stupid video you sent me now has me questioning." What? Oh, okay. Right, my wife is telling you, Adam, if you're listening, that you must find your path.
That's great. That's great.
That is good. So I was really, really hoping to be able to play test second ed, but we're going to need to make that happen.
Yeah, probably.
I already have everything pre-ordered.
We might maybe we can throw some buzz out on the PopCon website, or maybe even in conjunction, and see if, because in conjunction is a sci-fi fantasy con.
Yep.
So maybe we can see if we can convince people to run some second ed stuff, and maybe even some fifth ed stuff, so that we can kind of compare the two side by side. That'd be kind of interesting.
Interesting idea. Speaking of, Adam, if you're listening, since we're all not going to St. Louis in middle of June, the first part of June is PopCon. We'd love to see you.
Oh, that would be so cool.
So we'll talk more. But, yeah, so I wish that I could have sat down and played some Pathfinder Society at HoosierCon. Yeah.
We'll figure that out. It'll be a lot of fun once we do.
What about you?
I would have to say probably my least favorite part of the weekend was having to leave early on Saturday. I really would have liked to have stayed, but because for those of you who don't know, I also, besides my regular 9 to 5, or 8 to 4:30, I should say, I have a second part-time job with a company called Dinner Detective in Indianapolis, and it is a murder mystery dinner theater company, and it's kind of improv-y, kind of not. And we happen to have a show that same Saturday, and I tried for the life of me to track somebody down who might be able to cover for me, and half of the people I was hoping to be able to talk to cover for me were already covering for other people, because we had people who were late from flights or were sick and stuff like that. I'll tell you, the Indiana weather this year, this last winter, has just been insane.
Yeah.
And we've had my house alone, and I don't normally get really sick. Like, if I do, it's just kind of like a respiratory thing, and I can just handle it and take either some antibiotics or something like that. But it's like, I was knocked out like 3 or 4 times from being sick with different stuff. And I don't ever get that kind of sick. And so we had a bunch of people that were sick and couldn't make it to the gig. And so I ended up going. I was scheduled anyway. I wasn't covering for anybody, but I ended up having to leave right after our show to take Bonnie and the boys home, which they had a really good time at HoosierCon. They got a chance to make some fun crafts and play some games, and
the dragon egg.
They did the
hunt
Easter egg
so
hunt.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I will participate with the Motley kids at our booth every year.
Every year.
They come by and ask every year, but I'm like, yeah, absolutely. Like,
Just put it
it's
here.
so much fun. I think 2 years ago they did like a little monster hunt when we had those little rubber monster finger things on our booth and stuff like that. So, yeah, good stuff. I really love everything that those guys do. They do a really great job at every con because they're at more than just Hoosier Con.
Yeah.
The gentleman who runs it introduced himself to me, and I unfortunately don't remember his name, but I will look for him again at another con, or if we do Starbase or something like that. If he's there, I'll make sure to.
Special
introduce
shout out
myself.
to Jill Harris for getting us all set up.
Yeah, thank you, Jill. Yeah, for sure. It was funny. They were super apologetic because there was a little bit of confusion with the vendor badges when I got there on Friday, but it was resolved really, really quickly, which I thought was funny because the registration booth had me go and talk to Joe over in the vendor hall because they thought I was a vendor. But then when they found out I wasn't a vendor, I had to go back to registration. Then I ran into Nick, and Nick said somebody was bringing me my stuff, and then by the time I got back to the booth, there was somebody there with all my stuff, which was great. So, yeah, it was cool. Let's see. So, other than favorite moments, favorite games, least favorite moments, least favorite games, for HoosierCon 2020, what are some of the preparations that you want to make or that we want to make as a podcast or as an improv company or just people who love to play games in order to have a more enjoyable time at HoosierCon next year?
I think we need to play and or run a game.
I agree.
I love your idea of the escape room. I think that would be a great way for our team to do some team building. I think it'd just be a lot of fun that way. But yeah, I think we need to.
I think it's only $10 a person
Oh,
for their
that's
escape
totally
room.
reasonable.
Yeah.
And I think just doing that, like the Established Facts is going to play and run a game of some sort, whatever it's about. I mean, I don't care what system we do it in. I'm totally system agnostic to that. But I think it would be a lot of fun to do that. And I know this year they kind of put the entertainment at a lesser priority to the gaming. But even with that, I mean, the Breakfast Anytime had 40 to 50 people in there.
We had a great, and it was 40 to 50 people that were having a great time, that were laughing. There was probably 8 or 10 people that were there playing board games while we were in the middle of our show, which in my opinion, I loved.
Right? I
thought it was
almost want
great.
that at every show.
Right. I would almost prefer you guys be in the room not expecting a really funny improv show, playing your board game, and then still having fun at an improv show. No, I totally agree. I think running an event or participating in an event or doing both would be a really, really cool thing. I think, obviously, one thing I'm definitely not going to do next year is schedule myself to work during HoosierCon. Because that was just rough.
Yeah.
I wasn't like super exhausted or anything
No.
like that, but it just stunk because I had to go home, and then I had to go to the north side, and then I had to come back down to the west side, and then I went home again at the end of the night. And so it was like literally I kind of looped 465 twice, which was not fun. Not fun at all. But I did have a really good time, and being able to carve out some extra time next year to play games and to do some fun stuff, I think is definitely a huge priority to me. I think it would be neat to see something similar at HoosierCon to what they have at Gen Con with a alpha and beta test room.
Oh, yeah.
I think that would be really cool to have if they can find space, because that's the other thing is they use almost every inch of space in that hotel for their convention, which is fantastic. But it's like if there was one thing that I would love to see in addition to everything they already have is a room that they could run alpha and beta playtesting for independent developers. I know one thing that you and I really love are people who are kind of upstarting their own thing,
Like the Mud developer that was across from us.
Yeah, that's great stuff. And I think that if you had, one thing, and it's funny that I say that, but now I just remember that John Graham, when he participated pretty handily with HoosierCon, he used to do the independent show on the Sunday of HoosierCon, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
And that was kind of a focus on independent developers and stuff like that. And I think that if there was one thing that I would love to see more of, it's it's the support for people who are indie developers, whether they're game developers or maybe they're cosplay developers and designers or something like that. There were quite a few people at the show that were kind of that.
Yeah.
But there wasn't a big feature for them, which I feel like would be a really cool thing for somebody who's kind of an up-and-comer, a self-up-and-comer, self-promoter. Yeah, I think other than that, there's tons of stuff that I would love to see at HoosierCon because I love Gen Con so much, and I think HoosierCon is a really, really good replacement for Gen Con. If you can't go to Gen Con because of finances, you have to go to HoosierCon.
Yeah.
If you're a gamer and you don't want to spend your 4 days and $110 on a pass with 65,000 other people, legitimately 65,000 other people, HoosierCon is really where you want to be because there's a lot of space. It's not crowded. There were a lot of people there this year, but it's never crowded.
No.
It's never. You can never not find a table to sit down and play a game at.
And if you're staying at the hotel, you're always welcome to go back to your room and play.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And if you're not staying at that hotel, there's 5 other hotels around the Wyndham that you can stay at if you want that extra distance to be able to walk across the street on the cool spring night and just kind of let your brain collapse itself.
And
blah, blah, blah. So I think that in general, I really have a huge heart for HoosierCon. I think 5 years ago was the first time you and I had gone. I think we went one day.
Yeah, we went one day, and I remember having the boys as we were trying to play Love Letter and a couple of other games. Just going to sit down while the boys were eating their dinner. And, but it was just a fun atmosphere.
Oh, you know what we were playing? Marrying Mr. Darcy.
Oh yeah,
we were playing Marrying Mr. Darcy.
Yep, you're right.
Yep.
Which, by the way, I don't care, man, woman, whatever. If you've not played Marrying Mr. Darcy, find one and play it.
Yeah, it's funny.
Whether you like Pride and Prejudice or not, find one and play it because it's hilarious.
Yeah, play it that way.
My wife just looked at me, and I'm pretty sure that we're going to be playing that soon.
Playing that game in the base game, it's a lot of fun. And then it's even more fun when you add the Zombies expansion. Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
I'll never forget walking away with Zombie Darcy.
Yep. Good stuff. Good stuff. Wow. Let's see. I think if there was anything that I would ask HoosierCon to do is to make it the best free 4 days in gaming. But
4 days. They're probably never give us that idea.
Yeah, no
That's
joke.
Not true.
That's the other thing. That's the other thing. If you've never been to HoosierCon, not worrying about so much the crowd and the availability of games, it is a free convention. There is an option, and if you can do it, sponsoring the convention for $25 or even the whatever their VIP High Roller
$100
their High Roller thing of $100 I think it is, and you get a bunch of board games and a T-shirt and a really cool High Roller sleeve for your pass and stuff like that. If you get a chance to check out HoosierCon, it's definitely worth it. I mean, it's worth every dime you spend or don't spend.
Yeah.
Let's see. Yeah, I think that's
about it.
That's pretty much it. Yeah.
It's a good show. Make sure you go.
Yes, absolutely. So a little different episode for everybody. 194, a little bit more chill. HoosierCon review.
I hope you checked out 193, whether you're a wrestling fan or not.
That's right. Because we talk about wrestling, we talk about WrestleMania, but we also talk about kind of the storytelling aspect behind, character development aspect behind. In my opinion, wrestling is the most famous type of LARPing you could possibly have.
100%. It's $1 billion industry.
Yeah. It's the most expensive LARP you'll ever pay for.
Ever. And I know it may seem strange that we're not talking about the results of what we predicted and whatever, but sometimes we record things out of order.
Yeah, things happen.
That's just how it goes.
So you just got to do things like that.
If you want our opinion, check us out on Facebook.
Yes, please do. We'll have all kinds of fun rundowns and stuff like that of the Established Facts review of WrestleMania. I guess we got a lot of stuff coming around the bend. We got We've been talking about continuing our series of doing level progression building with expanded classes and
multi-classing and archetypes and stuff like that. I know we'll come back to that.
Yeah, and then of course, it's only April, but we're
gonna try and get 5 more episodes in before Gen Con.
Yeah, and June is around the corner.
Not Gen Con, PopCon.
Yeah, June is around the corner.
I think we're aiming for episode 200 at PopCon.
That'd be cool. I think that'd be cool. Maybe get an interview in, or just do like a fun, PopCon show, pre-post. Who knows?
I have a feeling our episode 200 will land either at PopCon or just around PopCon.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So anyway, I don't. Do you have a?
No,
I don't have a fact.
I don't. You know what? Just go to HoosierCon. There's your fact.
There's your fact.
Just go to HoosierCon.
The fact is, if you haven't gone to HoosierCon, you're failing yourself, and you should be going to HoosierCon. That's all I have to say about that.
Wow, you made it like you're failing people. Is that because you're cross-referencing the homeschool?
I didn't say. Well, you know what? Yes, and and that is our new fact. Yes, and thank you so much for listening to episode 194 of the Established Facts, our HoosierCon 2019 review. We love you all, and we will check you later.
Bye.
Deuces.
Please visit us at www.theestablishedfacts.com and our Facebook page, facebook.com/theestablishedfacts. If you would like to support us by buying some merchandise, visit cafepress.com/castingrobot.
Bonus